walking. Keep walking. Now turn around. Put your hands behind your back. Is there anybody else inside?
You won't believe what just went down behind bars. Foolio's alleged female killer, Alicia Andrews, who's been making headlines for snitching on her accomplices, just got jumped behind bars. The drama doesn't stop even after the arrest. Things are getting real dangerous for her on the inside. Let's dive into the details of how her decision to talk has led to some serious consequences. You won't believe the latest twist in Foolio's case. Just when it seemed like things couldn't get any wilder, Alicia Andrews, the girl arrested for Foolio's murder, is out here spilling all the tea on everyone involved in the ambush that night. Every day, the Foolio case seems to get more and more wild, and now it's on a whole new level. Alicia Andrews basically snitched on the other suspects during her post-Miranda statement. You know, after she was reminded of her rights, she didn't hold back, identifying herself in all the footage and naming her accomplices. Back on July 27th, Alicia was one of the first 3 suspects arrested for Foolio's murder. Foolio was ambushed and killed on June 23, 2024, while celebrating his birthday at a Holiday Inn in Tampa. Alicia's arrest came after weeks of intense investigation. The cops analyzed hours of surveillance footage from the hotel, used license plate readers, and combed through phone logs to track down 2 vehicles. They even dug into Foolio's social media to look for any threats or clues that might lead them to the suspects. After all that, the task force zeroed in on 3 main suspects: 21-year-old Alicia Andrews, 21-year-old Isaiah Chance, and 18-year-old Sean Gathright. With arrest warrants in hand, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office launched a series of raids to catch the suspects. The first arrest happened in a gloomy, rain-soaked parking lot. Body cam footage shows the cops rolling up on Sean Gathright, who was just standing there with his hands in the air, as they moved in to cuff him. So, the second arrest went down in a quiet neighborhood during a heavy downpour, and it was intense. Cops, armed with big rifles, rolled up on the spot where Isaiah Chance Jr. was hiding out. The body cam footage caught all the tension as the officers spotted him and told him to comply. Isaiah, with his arms stretched out, slowly approached the officers who had their weapons locked on him. They told him to get on the ground and put his hands behind his back before cuffing him and taking him to a separate vehicle. The final arrest of the day was Alicia's. She stepped out of the same house as Isaiah, hands raised high. The footage showed cops moving in fast to cuff her, making sure she was kept away from Chance, who was already sitting on the bumper of a cop car. Both of them were then hauled off to the station, and their mugshots quickly hit the streets. The charges against them were serious. Alicia Andrews and Isaiah Chance Jr. got hit with premeditated first-degree murder with a firearm and conspiracy to commit premeditated first-degree murder with a firearm. Sean Gathright got slapped with even heavier charges, including 2 counts of premeditated murder with a firearm, 3 counts of attempted premeditated murder with a firearm, and tampering with evidence. This guy had trouble from before, including an attempt on Foolio that was unsuccessful. Back to the perps. At that point, the cops were still hunting down 2 other suspects, Rashad Murphy and Davian Murphy. But that changed when the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office got a solid tip. The tip led them to the Collins Preserve Apartments, located between I-295 and Collins Road, where they believed Rashad Murphy was hiding out. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, along with the U.S. Marshals, quickly mobilized SWAT, CPR, and gang units to surround the building, making sure Murphy had no way out. Nearby residents were evacuated to keep them safe as the operation kicked off. For hours, the officers tried to negotiate with Murphy, calling out to him over a loudspeaker, hoping to avoid a violent showdown. But Murphy stayed holed up in the apartment, and the standoff dragged on into the early morning hours. The SWAT team, ready for high-stakes situations like this, geared up to go more aggressive if needed. As midnight rolled around, they decided to step things up. The SWAT team forced their way into the apartment, and finally, just after midnight, Rashad Murphy surrendered. He was taken into custody without any more drama, marking a big win for the investigation by finally bringing one of the main suspects to justice. Murphy got hit with murder charges and was sent to Tampa to face them. But Davian Murphy is still on the run. With Alicia spilling all the tea though, it's probably just a matter of time before they catch him too. In her statement, Alicia pointed out Isaiah Chance as the one driving the car that tailed Foolio from spot to spot on the night he was killed. And get this, Alicia even confessed to letting Isaiah use her phone to keep in touch with the other suspect, Sean Gathright. Now, some might call what Alicia did snitching, but her confession helped law enforcement put together the pieces of what happened the night Foolio was killed. This wasn't some random act of violence. It was a carefully planned hit. On June 22, 2024, all 5 suspects traveled from Jacksonville to Tampa. Alicia even tried to get someone on Instagram to book an Airbnb for them, but when that didn't work out, they booked it under the name Rashad Murphy, the 4th suspect, and paid for it using Gathwright's Cash App. They locked down the Airbnb from June 22nd to June 24th, setting the stage for their plan. The Airbnb's Ring camera footage caught everything. Sean, Isaiah, Alicia, and Davian Murphy were all seen at the Airbnb in Tampa, just about a mile away from where Foolio would later be killed. Investigators also got video from Gathwright's house showing him and Chance loading bags big enough to carry rifles into a black Chevy Impala the afternoon before their trip to Tampa. After getting settled into their Airbnb on the day of the murder, they followed Foolio to 3 different spots. Foolio had kicked off his birthday celebration at an Airbnb, posting videos of himself and his crew living it up.
Appreciate everybody popping out for my birthday, you know what I'm saying?
Happy birthday!
Everybody got their shot, put their shot in the air, man. Okay, David. Everybody take this shit on 3, man. 1, 2, 3.
About an hour into the party, the cops showed up. The landlord got word about the wild party and decided to shut it down. So, Foolio and his crew got kicked out and moved on to the next spot, a club he had promoted with a flyer. Surveillance footage from these places caught Isaiah Chance and Alicia Andrews tailing Foolio in a silver Chevy Cruze. Isaiah was often seen talking on a phone, which Alicia later admitted was hers. After the club, Foolio and his crew were hanging out in the parking lot while his manager searched for a new place to stay. They eventually settled on a nearby Holiday Inn and headed over there. Once at the hotel, Isaiah and Alicia drove the silver Chevy Cruze past Foolio's parked car twice, acting like lookouts. They waited for the perfect moment to strike. When the time came, they made their move. Surveillance footage from the shared parking lot of a Hilton and Holiday Inn in Tampa showed Sean Gathright, Rashid, and Davin armed with a handgun and 2 rifles approaching the hotel. Rashid allegedly fired first with a Glock, followed by Sean and the other guy, both armed with rifles equipped with shell catchers. The coordinated attack killed Foolio and left 3 others in the car critically injured. After the murder, the suspects exchanged some pretty shocking messages. An iCloud warrant on Sean Gathwright's phone revealed messages sent around 12:58 p.m. and 1 p.m. on June 23, 2024, while they were still at the Airbnb in Tampa. One message read, "I'm coming home, my thirst is quenched. Pop a bottle of Don Julio today, Murphy." Another read, "I'm coming home, my thirst is quenched. I love you, Murphy." Both messages were signed by Rashid Murphy, but sent from Sean's phone. These texts show just how confident and bold they were after the attack, celebrating it like it was some twisted achievement. Further investigation led detectives to Sean's house, where they found several rifles in a gun safe. Among them was a rifle with a brass catcher, a device used to prevent shell casings from being left at the scene. This same brass catcher was connected to an attempt on Foolio's life back in October, linking it directly to Sean. The attempt on Foolio's life back in October 2023 by Gathright and his recent murder weren't just random events. They were part of a bigger deadly gang beef between the ATK and KTA crews in Jacksonville. Cops say the suspects they arrested are all tied to the notorious ATK gang and 1200.
Shooters are members of or affiliated with rival gangs of Jones that go by ATK and 1200.
For those who aren't tapped into the Jacksonville scene, there's a wild hip-hop gang war going down. On one side, you've got ATK, which stands for Ace's Top. These dudes aren't just from one hood. They're spread out across the east and west sides of Jacksonville. Unlike most gangs that stick to one block, ATK is a mix of several groups from all over the city, including the Melvin Park crew and the 1200 crew from the east. This mix has turned ATK into a serious force in Jacksonville's gang scene, with Jacksonville rapper Youngan Ace repping them hard. Ace, born in East Chicago, Indiana, has had a life full of ups and downs. His family moved to Florida for better opportunities, but the struggle followed them. Growing up with 10 brothers, Ace's mom had a tough time keeping things together. They bounced from apartment to apartment, getting evicted left and right, sometimes crashing with relatives or staying in hotels. This unstable life hit Ace hard. His dad was locked up for most of his childhood, and they didn't reconnect until Ace was around 17. That left a huge gap in his life, and his uncle stepped in as a father figure. But when Ace was about 14, his uncle passed away, pushing Ace toward music and the streets. Over the years, ATK and Youngan Ace have become almost inseparable, making him the face of the gang. On the flip side, you've got KTA, which stands for them all. This crew is an alliance of several gangs, including the 6 Block Gang, YNR, and the Bully Gang. KTA's roots go way back to an older crew called PCE, or Problem Child Entertainment. PCE was already on Jacksonville authorities' radar and got hit with a RICO case on November 16, 2017. Even after 10 of their members got locked up, new recruits quickly filled the ranks. Foolio slowly became the face of KTA, just like Youngan Ace did for ATK. Foolio grew up in a rough, crime-filled environment that pushed him into the streets. His childhood was so wild that he bought his first gun in 7th grade.
Got their first gun in 7th grade, 6th going to 7th, the Deuce 5, so after that, it was a wrap.
Going through all that at such a young age, it's no surprise he got deep into the streets. The deadly feud between ATK and KTA goes back to a robbery in 2017. An ATK member, Trey Shorty, was allegedly robbed by a YNR member named Tony Cho. Looking for revenge, Trey Shorty targeted the home of a KTA member named Zion, aka Tweaky Jit, who happened to be Foolio's cousin. Trey Shorty broke into Zion's house and started shooting, tragically killing Zion and wounding his 2 young sisters, aged 9 and 16. Zion died on the spot, but his sisters survived and later identified Trey Shorty as the shooter in court. There were rumors that Youngan Ace was involved in the murder, but that was never confirmed. Still, Foolio and KTA took it personally and sought revenge against ATK, with their first target being Youngan Ace and his brothers. On June 5, 2018, Youngan Ace decided to take his brother and close friends out to celebrate some big milestones. His blood brother, Trayvon Bullard, had just graduated from Ridgeview High School in Clay County a week earlier, and Ace was incredibly proud of him. Their best friend, Royale Devin Smith Jr., known as 23, was celebrating his birthday that day. Despite growing up in a dangerous environment where gang rivalries and feuds were always a threat, Youngan Ace wanted to do something special for his brother. They all decided to go out and brought along another close friend, Jerkaby Groover, known as 4. The crew headed to Wasabi Japanese restaurant in Jacksonville, rolling deep with friends and family for a night full of laughs, good food, and good vibes. It was one of those nights everyone would remember. But, just like Foolio on the night of his murder, they had no clue they were being followed. As the clock ticked past 10:30 p.m., Youngan Ace and his brothers hopped in their car and headed toward Town Center Parkway near I-295. The car was buzzing with excitement from the night's celebrations. Ace and his brothers were playfully arguing about what to do next. Ace wanted to call his girlfriend, who was eating nearby, while his brothers wanted to keep the party going and meet up with some female friends. Around 10:53 p.m., their car stopped at a traffic light, and in the blink of an eye, everything turned to chaos. Just as Youngan Ace reached for his phone to call his girlfriend, a bullet ripped through his hand, knocking the phone out.
I'm about to call her. Soon as I pull my phone out, I get shot in my hand. See, my whole hand, see, all this is off, but it grew back.
Another car had pulled up beside them, and a relentless barrage of bullets started tearing through the metal, the seats, and tragically, the people inside. The brutal attack claimed the lives of Trayvon Bullard, Royale Devin Smith Jr., and Jerkaby Groover. Ace survived, but he was hit 8 times.
I got shot 8 times. And I watched like I said, mom got 8 boys. So everybody got A1 and A2, you know what I'm saying? So this is my 2, the one I be with every day, the one I shared everything with. I share everything with all my brothers, but the one I'm sharing everything with, we consistently wearing the same clothes. Whatever we doing it for each other. You know what I'm saying? Same size shoe, same size underwear, pants, shorts, shirts, all that shit. This him. And that was like that was my everything. That's my little brother. He died right there behind me.
Detectives carefully went over the crime scene, collecting evidence and talking to witnesses. They quickly realized this wasn't just some random act. It was a targeted hit. While the exact motives weren't crystal clear, many suspected Foolio and the KTA gang were behind it, and they didn't shy away from taunting Youngan Ace on social media. Foolio and the KTA crew took things to another level when they pulled up to the cemetery where young 23 was buried. They actually shot a music video right at the burial site, posing for photos while mocking young 23's grave, holding their shoes up to the grave marker, flipping off the camera, and throwing up gun and gang signs. A lot of people believe this move escalated the beef to a whole new level, sparking an all-out war that's led to more and more bodies dropping on both sides. These rising tensions ultimately led to Foolio's death, adding another name to the long list of casualties in this violent feud, with the police revealing that the suspects arrested for Foolio's murder are linked to the ATK gang and that his death is tied to the ongoing beef. Folks are starting to wonder if Youngan Ace and his crew might get hit with RICO charges. Could Youngan Ace get arrested? Since Foolio's death, rumors about Youngan Ace's involvement have been flying. During a press conference after Foolio's murder, officials were directly asked about Ace's possible connection to the crime, forcing Jacksonville Sheriff TK Waters to address the question head-on.
Chance for people in Jacksonville to ask Sheriff TK Waters questions at tonight's Community Town Hall. Thank you for staying up with us. I'm Anthony Austin.
And I'm Heather Crawford. So tonight's focus was on the Riverside, San Marco, and downtown neighborhoods. Those make up District 1. Our Christina Burgess was at the meeting this evening. She joins us now live. So Christina, what were people asking the sheriff about tonight?
Well, tonight, Sheriff TK Waters started the meeting by going over crime data, unveiling a transparency portal, and urging residents to get involved in the community. People in attendance were then able to fill out question cards where they asked the Sheriff Waters and also District 1 Assistant Chief Jimmy Ricks questions on speeding, homelessness in the city, and also gang violence.
The sheriff's statement hinted that they've been keeping a close watch on Youngan Ace and his crew for a while now. If that's true, things aren't looking too good for him. Ever since Foolio's death, Ace has been throwing out indirect claims of responsibility through multiple diss tracks. One of these tracks, Do It, dropped just hours after Foolio was killed, which was pretty mind-blowing. In Do It, Youngan Ace spits some chilling lines about hunting down and finishing off his enemies. The lyrics are intense, almost like they're describing the exact scene at the Holiday Inn where Foolio was murdered. Even though Foolio's name isn't mentioned directly, the references are hard to miss. The bars sound like an organized hit, perfectly fitting with the narrative of the suspects and their calculated moves. To make things worse for Youngan Ace, a video surfaced of a masked man claiming he killed Foolio after Ace paid him to do it. It's unclear if this mystery man is one of the suspects already arrested, but people can't help but connect the dots between the song and the ongoing situation. After dropping Do It, Youngan Ace continued to drop tracks that indirectly claim the murder, including Game Over and Ready to Die. On June 28th, Ace released Game Over, where he raps, "Dead on the floor, dead on arrival, Mr. Six. I'm steady screaming out the long six," directly referencing Foolio, who was known to be part of the 6-block gang. The lines, 4 in the car and 1 of them dead, 3 got hit, directly hit on the circumstances of Foolio's death. Ace goes even further with lines like 5.56 increased the murder rate, another body on the way, and mask on, get up close, this another closed case. In Ready to Die, Ace keeps taking shots at Foolio with lyrics that many believe reference Foolio's death. He raps, "They shot 12, they ain't solving nothing, did all that running and still died, dead, his dog trying to keep his name alive." Ace is clearly alluding to Foolio getting shot and killed, and the part about people trying to keep Foolio's name alive points to Omerta 55, who dropped tracks in memory of Foolio. But Youngan Ace isn't the only one from ATK dropping diss tracks. On July 24th, Spinabenz and Wappa Wit Da Choppa released a track titled Foolio's Dead. The title alone is a blatant mockery, and the lyrics throughout the song continue to taunt and disrespect Foolio. Some of the lines are straight-up taunts celebrating Foolio's death and mocking any doubts about it. Many believe all these diss tracks could eventually get Youngan Ace and his crew in trouble. It seems like Ace is starting to see the potential consequences, as he recently did an interview with DJ Academics, where he denied any involvement in Foolio's death. However, many think the damage might already be done, and speculate that, with Alicia snitching on the other suspects, it's only a matter of time before Youngan Ace faces his own arrest warrant.